This is part 3 of Learning Module 1. Again, I'm Professor Yerby, and now we're going to jump right back into it. An asset is something of value. So it could be a piece of machinery, it could be some intellectual property, it could be files, it could be a database. Somehow they provide value to an organization. Typically, they can't be replaced easily without a significant investment or expense in time or skill or resources, and they can form part of the organization's corporate identity, right? And then so to our assets, we have threats. Threats are an action that has potential to cause harm. Information security threats are events or actions that represent a danger to information assets. A threat by itself does not mean that security has been compromised. Rather, it just means that there's some potential for a loss out there. So just because there's a threat, so I drive my vehicle to work, there's a threat of the 400 other vehicles I park next to run into me. That doesn't mean my car is smashed up in the parking lot, I hope. But there's a threat, right? So there's lots of threats out there. Threats can result in the corruption or theft of information, a delay of information being transmitted, and a loss of goodwill or reputation. So we'll talk about goodwill and reputation later in the semester with some of the organizations that have had hacks against them. A threat agent is a person or an element that has the power to carry out a threat. A vulnerability is a flaw or weakness that allows a threat agent to bypass security. So an example is a software defect in an operating system that allows unauthorized access user to gain control of a computer without the user's knowledge or permission. So that's a vulnerability in the operating system. A threat vector is means in which attack can occur. A risk is a situation that involves some exposure to types of danger, and later in the semester we'll talk about ways to handle risk, and I'll just briefly list them here but will not discuss them. You can avoid, accept, mitigate, deter, or transfer. And that will conclude this section